Hi everyone. Today I am posting a follow-up to my plant videos that I had posted a little while ago, where I transferred them all to a substrate mixture, and I had promised that after a month or so I would post a follow-up to show you how they were doing. So this is the first one. Now it was sticking out of the pot quite a bit more when I first planted it. Today I just planted it a little farther down into the pot because it started growing all these little roots like this one. I can get my camera to focus here. And so it seemed to be doing really well, other than the fact that over time the leaves had shriveled a little until they started to grow their new roots. And so I've separated them, cut off more little dead bits, and as I stated, planted them further down in the substrate mixture. So hopefully this one is going to do well and will perk up a little bit and fill out this pot. Now the next plants that I transplanted were the peace lilies. This was the original plant here, and these were some small bits that came off the plant. This one has not done as well. Peace lilies really like it to be quite moist, and so I may have to either set this pot in water permanently or transplant it back to soil. We'll see how it goes. Part of the problem is the leaves that are coming along, the new leaves, look healthy at first, such as these ones, if I can get in here and show you. But then over time the ends are drying on them and I have to keep clipping them. Now they do seem to be coming back, and I did check the roots, and the roots are starting to come along fine. There was no crown rot or anything like that. They just seem to be a little drier. I may even move these ones outside for the summer in a shady spot and see how they do out there. Beside them is this little donkey's tail or burro's tail that I transplanted into the pond mixture. And it is starting to come along really well. As you can see, it developed a lot of new little roots, and quite a few new little plants are growing as well. You can see on the original mother plant, and where it laid down, little ones are popping up everywhere. And they are all growing their own new roots, and even some that were laying on the substrate are now growing small little plants of their own. So I've also put a couple other cuttings of other euphorbias in here to see if they would start to grow as well and start me some new plants. Hopefully this one will continue to do well and send down new roots and grow up some new plants and fill up this pot. I do have it under a grow light, and that seems to be working really well for it. This one is my Bromeliad. When I got it for Mother's Day, I went ahead and transplanted it into the substrate mixture as well. And this one seemed to be a good choice for this mixture because bromeliads get most of their moisture through their leaves or through this little cup that they have down in the center, and it holds water there, and you just change it out once a week or so for fresh water. It did bloom really well, and those little bright pink, and there were some purple ones at first, those are the actual flowers inside this bract. Now this will die off eventually, and I'll cut it out, and then the parent plant will also die off. I have had to remove one leaf off the bottom already, but I'm hoping that it will send up a new little pup beside it so that by the time it dies in a few months, then I will have a new plant to start all over with again. But it did seem to do really well in the substrate mixture. This is my Thanksgiving flower, my cactus. It has done very, very well in the substrate mixture. It does take a little bit of extra watering and a little more care with it, but overall it has done very well. It had stopped blooming eventually, and it's now seems to be taking a break. But the roots have developed on it really well, and as you can see, it is sending out roots all over, which is typical. And I would say overall this has been a good fit for the substrate mixture and looks nice and healthy and is doing well. Beside it are two of my orchids. This was the original orchid that I showed in the picture, and the flower stem has continued to grow, and hopefully I will soon get a flower on this one. It too has seemed to take to the substrate mixture, and this one I did change out the rope in the bottom of it for a thicker rope to absorb moisture, and it seems to do well. Just maybe every month I have to give it just a little bit more than what it seems to be able to absorb. But the roots are doing well, and there is no rot in this one. The one beside it is one that I received for Mother's Day. It finished blooming, and I had transplanted it as well into the pond mixture, the substrate mixture. But when I went to do that, it had some root rot on it already, and it seemed to have come from the store that way. So when I transplanted, I cut off anything that I could find that was suspicious, and I sprayed it with the hydrogen peroxide and put it into the mixture. It still did not seem to do very well. And after a couple of weeks, I pulled out the roots and checked it again, and then it seemed to have some crown rot. So again, I sprayed it, cleaned it up, and I put some cinnamon on it and planted it back in here. And I have not given it any moisture since. I'm hoping that the roots will adjust and the rot will stop, and that this will settle down, and I won't have any more crown rot, but we'll see how it does. I did have to remove one leaf this week that turned yellow, and I'm not sure if that was typical or if it was still from some rot, but we'll see how it goes. And I'm not going to water this one until it seems to come back a little bit. So that is my update on how my plants are doing. I hope this encourages some of you to maybe try this if you prefer a cleaner mixture for your plants. So far I'd have to say I'm about 80% happy with my mixture, and I will probably continue if I get more plants to switch them over and see how it goes. Thank you for watching this update video, and I hope you enjoyed it.